It's important to government because if you make everything closed, you can't make it as repeatable. You can't make it crowdsourced to make that solution better. And it's kind of counterintuitive. You actually reduce costs and increase security because everybody's sharing in the problem as opposed to obscuring the problem and hoping nobody notices it. The Navy's put together what they call their afloat core services, which is a Red Hat stack, and they're willing to share it with other agencies, so we've taken a look at that. We're working with the Army now to standardize configurations, and predominantly that's going to be on an open source solution piece. And while COTS and commercial products have a place, open source is becoming a big player. You can't save money if you're not looking at open source at the same time. I see the government really becoming much more collaborative in sharing and repurposing existing stuff. That didn't happen previously. The landscape is changing dramatically, and even from the DoD CIO, they've put out policy that says, yes, you can use open source, you can consider it as COTS, has to be supported by an enterprise company, but you're still able to use it. So people are starting to kick the tires, seeing where it plays into their mission and in their business. So from a mission perspective, if I'm hand carving my system, then it keeps it locked and it keeps it very expensive to maintain. If I start to open it up and others get to use what I've invested in, then that starts to make a much different cost model. And the other piece that we're looking at is when you have this collaborative nature and people are working together, then the money that the federal government's spending on some of these projects is an investment, not a spend. And that's a whole different paradigm shift. Where, okay, hey, I've invested in this thing, and now I've done it so that others can use it, and we get to leverage it across the board. My advice is to educate themselves on the ecosystem, not focus so much on the actual specific software package, but how do you manage a community, and how do you get everybody to influence and work together to get at the greater good. And it's really much more on the ecosystem than on a specific product. It's a much different scenario and understanding that social piece. And people want to do good. They want to know that what they're working on makes a difference. And they can do that when they start to see the stuff that they've worked on go much bigger than themselves. And I think that's where they really need to understand how to play.